Hello BattleCats players, my name is Chance and welcome to my guide. Today we have a very interesting cat in store for you today, and if you've ever asked yourself what might just happen if the Olympics actually stopped banning things like doping, drugs, genetic enhancements, and we actually found out just how fast someone could actually swim, well, maybe now you have your answer. Let me introduce you to SwimmerCat. This super rare cat is available through Rare Cat Capsules, and hooey is he interesting. Now, as always, it is my hope that throughout the course of this video and investigating SwimmerCat's evolutions, performance, use cases and strategies, cat combos, as well as talents, orbs, trivia, and the like, you can make an informed decision on how to best use this cat in your arsenal, and figure out how to best invest into him, if at all. Let's start out by talking about his various evolutions. Firstly, starting out with SwimmerCat himself, his description reads, built from the pain of losing every race. Obtained its strength from tears of defeat, deals massive damage to floating enemies. Then at level 10 it becomes Butterfly Cat, managed to overcome the endless defeats with great effort. Now blessed with Victory, deals massive damage to floating enemies. And then finally, Fisherman Cat. This is achievable after reaching level 30 or beyond and dumping in some cat fruit and XP. His description reads, this one can barely even be called a cat, submitted to gene therapy to become the world champion, extreme damage to floating. Now then, let's look at some performance. First and foremost, SwimmerCat is considered to be a rusher. As far as pros are concerned, he has decent health in his true form, high attack power, fast movement speed, cheap to produce, and decent recharge time, not to mention a full backswing cooldown. As far as cons are concerned, we have low range single target attacks, long backswing and attack delay, and long force swing. And as far as other considerations go, deals massive damage to floating enemies, which is either 3 times damage or 4 times, assuming you have the relevant cat fruit unlocks. Now then, let's talk about strategy and use case and watch some gameplay. As far as cost is concerned, in Chapter 1, SwimmerCat will cost 450 cents, Chapter 2, 675, and Chapter 3, 900 cents. As far as SwimmerCat himself is to be concerned, you're essentially just going to spam him to get rid of certain floating enemies. Muth, Owlbrow, the Face, and things along those like. While there are some bosses that SwimmerCat can be useful against, it is worth noting that his range is not that great. So just be sure not to pair him up against enemies that outrange him, at least not until he gets his true form. As a quick aside, if you don't have the Breaker Blast cannon unlocked and you're pressed for barrier breakers, you can send out SwimmerCat to be an effective option. Seeing as how his cost is really low and he's spammable, he can actually deal a fair bit of damage. Now then, let's discuss a little bit about his true form. Fishman Cat gains a pretty substantial range increase, as well as more health, more damage, and more movement speed. This allows him to essentially outrange all of the Bun Bun variants, which means you don't need to worry about specifically timing certain actions. And aside from that, just stand to overall improve the unit's effectiveness in combat. As far as cat combos are to be concerned, SwimmerCat only has access to one, and that is Sportswoman. This is a unit defense up of the small variety and involves Sports Girl Cat and Butterfly Cat, and increases unit health by 10%. Well, in theory, I can see the practical application of this. There are better options, and to be honest, if you're using these units to tank, you probably goofed up a little bit. Especially in the case of SwimmerCat, seeing as how he's so spammable, you shouldn't really worry about losing a couple of them here or there. Now then, let's talk about cat fruit really quick in order to true form into Fishman Cat. You are going to need 4 green, which can be achieved from the growing green stage every Monday, 1 red, which can be obtained by the red stage every Wednesday, blue, which can be obtained from the growing blue stage every Thursday, 1 yellow, which can be obtained from the growing yellow stage every Friday, and 1 epic, which can kind of be achieved through all of the stages, however after completing an ancient curse. You can also get them through the growing epic stage for a few hours every weekend, not to mention dual cyclone fights. And of course, the standard 500,000 XP. Now then, as always, I'm just going to read out some lines of trivia while flashing some of the stat screens relative to SwimmerCat and his various evolutions. The lions knows the sadness of every match, found its strength by crying on its own, and won the blessing of victory by facing endless sorrow in SwimmerCat's and Butterfly's Cat Japanese descriptions, reference the hit single Ultra Soul by rock duo Bees. The specific lyrics reference can be translated as, first learn what sadness is, go and cry on your own, and if you want to be blessed, first let yourself face that endless pain, and are phrased almost exactly like this unit's description in Japanese. The song Ultra Soul has been associated with competitive swimming in Japan. The music video takes place at a swimming pool, and one of the single's B-sides is Sumaya Yo 2001 or Swimmer Yo 2001. Fisherman Cat's appearance, minus the trident, could be a reference to the Gill Man from the classic film Creature from the Black Lagoon. Although I'll always remember him as the Swamp Thing villain from Kim Possible. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would like to think it's true, at least in my headcanon. And that really is all the reference pertaining to Fisherman Cat. So without further ado, let's take a look at his talents. As far as available talents are concerned, Fisherman Cat has access to Slow, which adds a 40% chance to slow for about half a second and improves by 0.17 seconds per level up to 2 seconds total for a total NP cost of 165. Resist Slow, which reduces slow duration by 16%, improves by 6% per level up to 70% for a total NP cost of 125. Defense and Attack Buff, which increase the respective traits by 2% per level up to 20% for a total of 125 NP each. And a Movement Speed Up, which upgrades the movement speed by 1 per level up to 10 for a total NP cost of 125. Now, unfortunately, Fisherman Cat is kind of in a weird spot as far as talents go. First and foremost, he gains a lot of his usefulness from his just raw stats, so you're going to want to prioritize the defense and attack buff respectively. Outside of that, it's kind of up to what you're lacking. The Resist Slow, I would say, is probably the most useless out of all of them, as not only is it circumstantial, but it's fairly expensive as far as NP is concerned, and like, who the heck really cares? As far as the slow trait itself is concerned, it's kind of nice, but it's not very reliable. Also, especially up against floating enemies, which is more than likely where you're going to be using Swimmer Cat up against, there are better freezing or slowing units for floating. And the Movement Speed Up, well, nice in theory, has a drawback, that being the way that movement and attack animations work in this game. So essentially, you run the risk of having Fisherman Cat go far too close to the enemy, or even clip kind of inside of them. And what this means is the increase in range you get from true forming doesn't really matter because you're right up against the enemy anyways. So it kind of depends on you and what you feel like your team is lacking, but ultimately, aside from the attack and defense up, all of these are kind of circumstantial and situational. Now, Fisherman Cat also gets access to a talent orb. When it comes to orbs, the general rule of thumb is you want to specialize units as much as possible. So in this case, give him a floating orb, really whatever it is, just make sure it kind of fits the bill for what you're using him for. And outside of that, there's not really too much to say about him. But now that you know what I think, let's hear what you guys think. Upon the time of voicing this script, only 2 people have commented on the Fisher Cat post, that being I'm Freaking Stupid, who just says good, a 9 out of 10, and the ever-present Bee-Eater8972, who says got me through Crazed Gross somehow. Or somehow, but we know he meant somehow. If you would like to be featured in these videos, be sure to contribute to the relevant posts on the community section of our channel, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys there. That does about wrap up our video on Swimmer Cat and all of his evolutions. Let me know what you think about him down beneath in the comment section. And of course, be sure to voice if I got anything wrong, misrepresented anything, or did anything like that. Thank you so much, guys, and as always, I'll be talking to you soon.